Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weischadle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weischadle. Doug, such a great week. The NBA is back. The NHL announced they're coming back in January, and one of the most surprising events of this week, the Jets won.
About damn time.
Well, I was going to ask you, you're a Jets fan. I mean, I'm getting the sense that not a lot of Jet fans are happy about it.
I don't care about that.
Okay, you're happy about it?
I am not one of those guys who likes to see a team lose for a number one draft pick that really you don't know anything about yet.
Okay,
it's just I'm in the minority. I actually prefer, if anything, doing a reverse Tannehill here. Keep Darnold and get rid of Gase. Get Gase out of there, because I think once Gase is gone, Darnold actually showed some competency back there. I don't know who came up with that game plan. That was not a Gase game plan.
Okay, all right.
That was totally different than what I've seen earlier throughout this year, and also last year too.
Well, you know, it's a very interesting.
I am not a Trevor Lawrence fan.
Okay, well, I'm watching the news, and I'm seeing, we have the New York news here, and I'm not seeing Jets fans overjoyed. I'm seeing some like you who are very happy that, they got the monkey off their back. They're not going to go winless, but then I'm seeing others saying, oh my God, they just blew their future. There goes our number one draft pick, and woe is me, woe is me.
I'll say this. From what I've been seeing, when Darnold came back from his injury, they had like a 3 or 4 game stretch of being totally out of sync with each other. Darnold was finally playing with all 3 receivers, and it was almost like watching him go through an exhibition season. The week against the Raiders, even though that weird cover zero blitz screwed up the game for him at the end, that offensive game plan was good. The offense played even better against the Rams. I'm starting to see that offense gel. If they had a better offensive line, a more consistent offensive line, and maybe some more creative play calling too, that team is actually in position to actually do well next year, but they got to get rid of that coaching staff.
Well, it should be very interesting. It was shocking to see.
I just hope they don't.
After the LA Rams beat up on the New England Patriots, I thought they were going to come in and just smack around the Jets, and the Jets really, really handled it well.
My biggest fear is that the Jets play well in the last 2 games of the season and Gase stays.
I can't see that happening.
I can't see it happening either, but weirder things have happened. I can't believe they let him fire Greg Williams. I would have thought that'd be Joe Douglas. But again, weird dichotomy between all the different parts of the front office there. So, but I'm happy that they won, and I don't care about Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. Well, we got a great show coming up for you. We got our NFL picks later on. We got the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. And I have an interview with Jeff Edelstein from MIBets.com, USBets.com, and Better Collective. Michigan is getting online sports betting and online casinos very soon, and we're going to talk all about that with Jeff. And Virginia is getting into the betting marketplace, so very interesting.
A couple new markets, and Virginia is a very interesting one to watch.
Yeah, and Jeff wrote a great article about a very important issue in the sports betting scene. We're going to talk about the issue of sports books limiting the amount people can bet. It's a pretty hot topic, and he wrote a great article about it, and we're going to talk to Jeff about that. It's been a busy week in sports, so let's take a trip down the Turnpike. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
First up this week, we may in 5 to 10 years be having a different sports betting experience altogether.
Okay, all right.
The company Entain, which used to be GVC.
Okay, all right,
They changed their name.
All right.
They're also co-owner of BetMGM Sportsbook, Roar Digital, all that. They have done a deal with Verizon Media, and according to this agreement, the goal here is to develop new opportunities across sports and entertainment, including a virtual reality experience for live sports viewing.
So if I'm viewing a live sporting event, they're going to include what? Virtual reality?
Well, here's what they want to do. You're going to be sitting at home, basically.
All right.
Or, you could be courtside. I don't know. It could be either or. But this is for when you're not there. You could actually put on
if you're courtside, you're there.
Yeah. Well, if you're not at courtside.
Okay.
You can put on your VR glasses, whether it's Oculus or whatever the device
now,
you
those
have.
are those big,
big goggles.
eyewear
Yes.
that we see in these YouTube videos that people are playing games and they're swiping at things and they eventually fall over into a wall.
Exactly.
Those things. Okay.
Those things provide their own entertainment sources in
right.
addition to what they actually do.
I have a pair of those, and I really haven't tried them to the best of their, technology that they have, so I really have to break them out and check them out again.
Well, these devices are all self-contained. You don't have to put your phone on it. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I think the one I have, you have to put your phone on it or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Well, Entain had a study done on the gaming and entertainment habits of the population now. Mm-hmm. A sample size was done. According to their study results, new immersive experiences utilizing 5G, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Two different things, really.
Okay, all right.
That would stimulate the growth of both gaming and esports. And one of the other things I noticed, the development of this technology was also spurred on partly because of the pandemic.
Well, people were
home looking for new experiences.
Looking for new experiences. Esports has really grown. I haven't seen the numbers, but certainly esports have grown, and I've been more aware of them. I watched them more during this pandemic, so yeah, I can see that.
According to the study, they found that 2/3 of all consumers are combining gaming experiences with social media to increase their enjoyment. So basically, they're playing and interacting on social media with other people. So this was the catalyst for coming up with this idea between Entain and Verizon Media. What they want to do is they want to combine live sports viewing with interactive layers of sports data and gaming.
Ooh.
Now,
so
it's not necessarily...
I was wondering where you were going with the sports betting angle of this, but now I see it. You're going to have the information.
You're going to have data.
You're going to have data going across the screen, or the screen that you can perceive, or I don't even know if you call it a screen anymore.
It's
your virtual world.
Your line of sight, basically.
Yeah, your virtual world.
Anyone who's seen that movie Ready Player One knows exactly what we're talking about here. It's an immersive environment where it's almost all around you when you're looking through the glasses.
Okay, I'm curious. You're going to have the information. Will you be able to do anything about that? Will you be able to
the
bet
ultimate goal
there? Okay, that's the ultimate goal. Okay.
We'll be able to participate in sporting events by, they're going to be sitting at home, basically. They're going to put their glasses on or their suits on or whatever they want to do.
Their suits?
Yeah, well, that's Ready Player One.
Full body suits? Okay.
Yeah. And they'll be almost sitting courtside, arena side. They'll be in the stands with their friends who are possibly doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
And they're going to be watching the game virtually from wherever they're, like the comfort of their own home.
Wow. And
you're going to be able to, under this deal, not only watch the game, not only interact with your friends, but you're going to have the data. Drive information, if it's a football game, batting information.
Well, the live odds, the live odds.
Well, it'll be data first.
It'll be data first, okay.
And you're going to be able, like I said, interact.
But you know where that's going. It's going to be the in-game odds.
Well, given who Entain is with BetMGM,
it makes sense.
It actually figures out that you're going to start seeing odds. You're going to start seeing betting information, prop bets. You're going to be able to probably at some point log into your BetMGM app and hook it into your VR system and actually just be able to do it virtually through the immersive environment that's being created by Verizon and Entain here.
I'm never going to leave the home again.
Well,
it'll be perfect.
The ultimate goal,
I'll be sitting on my couch.
The ultimate goal, according to Entain and Verizon, is not just to do the sports betting and the watching from home. They want to be able to create such an experience where everyone's able to compete against each other in these games.
Like in the Matrix.
Exactly.
Huh? Okay.
So it's going to be playing, competing, betting, watching.
Just basically living.
Exactly.
Living in the virtual world.
Exit 2.
Going back into the real world,
Okay.
We have the Philadelphia Eagles have broken some new ground in terms of the esports industry.
Well, okay, I guess this year hasn't been a total loss. Is that what you're saying for the Eagles and their fans? Or
Well, the team aside.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Business-wise, they're doing incredibly well because they've made sports betting deals, casino deals all over the place.
Yeah, they're doing great off the field.
They actually did deals with Fox Bet. I believe Unibet is also one of them, and they've got a couple other different sponsorships with different casinos and online sports books where they're doing a lot of content around the team.
Yeah, soon they're going to have another casino right by them, right? Isn't Live Philly being built around the sports betting complex?
It's getting there.
Yeah,
let me put it that way. It's getting there. I don't know when
it broke ground. I should say it broke ground, right?
It broke ground.
Yeah.
But this is kind of interesting. They have moved into the esports industry now.
All right.
They are the first NFL team to do this, as a matter of fact. So they are trendsetters, and everyone's expecting other teams to be doing this as well. The Esports Entertainment Group, that's the name of the company,
okay,
has done a multi-year partnership with the Philadelphia Eagles to serve as its esports tournament provider.
All right. What does that mean?
Well, when you're dealing with EEG, that's Esports Entertainment Group, that's the acronym, they have what's called their Esports Gaming League platform. It's a proprietary platform where they host tournaments, they host events,
okay,
they do broadcasting. Basically, it's their own little esports world that they will be doing branded Madden NFL esports tournaments with the Eagles.
So the Esports Gaming League, that's what the name of it is, all right? Right?
No.
I want to check it out.
The Esports Entertainment Group.
The Esports Entertainment Group.
The platform is called Esports Gaming League.
Okay, the platform is Esports Gaming League.
Run by Esports Entertainment Group.
Okay.
And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing multiple Madden, a biannual Madden NFL tournament with the Eagles, branded all Eagles stuff. I'm assuming they're going to have players doing it, too, because the NFL is filled with esports guys.
I mean, as a big Eagles fan, I'm going to check this out. I definitely want to check it out.
I'm always curious to see these deals. I mean, they're also going to be doing promotional content. They've gotten IP rights to players' images, names,
great,
team logos, team likenesses. Basically, everything you see in a sports betting data deal where they get the rights to the IP,
sure,
they're going to be doing it as well. They're also going to be doing a lot of self-produced content with the Eagles that's geared toward Philadelphia fans.
Great. Can't wait to see it.
And this is the first time for the Eagles, but it's not the first time for Esports Entertainment Group to do something like this with a sports team. They did one earlier this year. I think it was last month, as a matter of fact. They did a deal with the Philadelphia Union.
Really? Okay.
Major League Soccer. So they're going to be doing
they're really focused on Philadelphia, huh?
Well, according to all the
research... Which is great. I'm a Philly fan, so I love it.
According to all the research, Philly is the next big hotspot for esports.
All right.
I mean, they're building the Fusion Arena.
Yeah, no, I can believe it. They're doing a lot of work with esports. Anytime you see esports, Philadelphia is usually mentioned. So, I hope they become a hub.
Well, one of the biggest esports groups out there, Fnatic.
Yeah.
And also the Nerd Street Gamers. They're doing stuff in Philly for training kids to do, community kids, a community center for esports.
Great.
They're building, like I said, the Fusion Arena, which is going to have live tournaments as well as training centers. Yeah. And Philadelphia is becoming a new hub of all this.
Exit 3.
Okay, a trend that was started by the Washington football team is now trending over into baseball.
Okay, you mean a name change? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know if you can consider dropping a moniker, a name change, but yes.
You're going to have to change the name.
Yeah, yes. But the Cleveland Indians will no longer be the Cleveland Indians soon.
So, but next year they're going to be the Cleveland. Isn't it supposed to take place 2022?
They just announced not too long ago that they're going to be dropping the Indians part of the Cleveland Indians.
Okay.
Now, this is after, let's see, they've been the Cleveland Indians since 1915.
All right.
With what was going on with the Washington, formerly the Redskins, the Washington football team, I should say now, they have decided to move away from the Native American motif.
Okay.
And they want to be a little bit more politically correct.
Sure.
So that makes sense.
Makes sense.
They've already gotten rid of Chief Wahoo. off the hats.
Yeah.
They now have a letter C. And they're looking at doing something not for 2021 per se. They're looking at 2022 for a full-blown name change, full-blown, maybe possibly uniform and color change.
Now, wait, for the new season, have you heard of anything? The Cleveland announcers, will they not be will they be calling it the Cleveland baseball team in 2021, or it's going to be everything the same 2021, but 2022 we're going to have?
Well, you may want to hold off calling it the Cleveland baseball team, because as soon as we start talking about this a little bit more in terms of trademarks, they got an issue.
Squatters? Are we talking about squatters?
Lots of squatters.
Lots of squatters for the trademark?
But anyway,
always happens.
I did a little research into the history of why they were called the Indians. According to the team, they have always said it was to honor former player Louis Sockalexis, a Native American from the Penobscot tribe who played for the Cleveland Spiders, which was a major league club in Cleveland before the Indians came around in the 19th century.
Why don't they call it the Spiders?
Well, that's one of the suggestions of what they could change the name to. What they're thinking of doing right now, last year they had their opening day uniforms just said Cleveland across the front.
Okay.
So the initial thinking is maybe just don't go with the name.
Just call it Cleveland.
Right. But Major League Baseball may have tipped their hand here.
Okay. They filed something?
Major League Baseball, and this is the only one they actually have filed. It's an intent-to-use filing in the trademark office, which means it's not in use yet.
Okay,
but it's basically name reservation.
Well, it's in the name of it.
I hate saying reservation.
Intent to use.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they have filed an intent-to-use trademark application on August 17th for the brand name Cleveland Citizens.
I'm not crazy about that name. What do they do for a logo?
Well, again, they may
Cleveland
not have one.
Citizens?
They may not have a logo.
Cleveland Citizens.
They may do a city skyline shape, something like that. But
ultimately,
it may not end up being the name.
What are these things about? Certainly news is going to come out, but why don't they go and look at filing an intent-to-use trademark before they announce that they're changing the team name? Because, look, as soon as they announce they're changing the team name, all these people from everywhere starts doing intent-to-use trademarks. They file like the Cleveland Bears or the Cleveland Eagles or whatever. They do an intent-to-use for that, and when Cleveland, the baseball team, wants to use something like that, they think, you know what, I already have the intent to use, they're going to have to buy it from me. So why doesn't the team just do a whole bunch of intent to use and then announce that, we might change the name?
2 years ago when they dropped Chief Wahoo, there was no intention of changing the name.
Okay.
But when the Washington football team dropped Redskins, that spurred everything on. But when Washington dropped Redskins off the team logo and name and all that stuff, there was a flurry of filings in Cleveland.
Okay, so these people were
thinking... let me rephrase. Not in Cleveland, but for Cleveland.
Okay, all right. So, so they were stuck because of the ripple effect of Washington. People read the tea leaves and they saw, it looks like Cleveland might change their name, so I'm jumping on the intent-to-use trademark filing. Right. Maybe Cleveland would have to buy it from me.
Right.
That's what happened?
A lot of the big choices that they were looking at have already been registered.
Okay.
Cleveland Buckeyes was one.
Okay.
Because of, Ohio, the Buckeye nut, all that stuff.
Okay.
Is the big thing for them.
Sure, Ohio State, Buckeyes. Well, I'm sure the Ohio State would have a problem with that.
No, they probably license it.
Well, okay.
Cleveland Guardians. Actually, Guardians is an interesting one because it's taken from the statues on the bridge going into Cleveland.
Well, let me tell you something. The what was the old? Not the old football. The last season there was the spring football. I don't even know what the name of the league was.
You talking about AAF or you talking about XFL?
New York had a team called the New York Guardians,
which was the Gargoyles.
Yeah, that's what they were referring to. I wonder if they have that trademark and if they have a problem with that.
Well, the Cleveland Guardians is already filed under an individual's name in California.
Wow. Wow, people have really jumped on these things.
But the Guardians of the traffic monoliths are on the bridges going into Cleveland. That's what they're called, the Guardians. So that's where they came up with that idea. The Cleveland Gladiators is one of the choices. Okay. That's an old Arena Football League team name.
Yeah.
Which is still registered.
Okay.
Cleveland Blues is another one.
Cleveland Blues. Okay.
Yeah. Way back in 1879, that was Cleveland's first National League Baseball team. Again, I don't know what the trademark history of that is. I know it's still in the system. I don't know who actually owns it, but it's not owned by Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Cleveland Spiders, which we had talked about before with the...
but is that one owned?
That's owned, too.
Oh, boy.
But again, it's one of these things where...
It's a chore to rename a sports team. It is really a chore.
Which is why their initial thinking right now is just drop Indians.
Cleveland?
Cleveland baseball team is even trademarked.
Oh, wow.
So It's one of those things where they're going to have to keep an eye on some of these things. Some of these are still intent to use in the filing systems. But again, it's one of those things where I think what they're going to have to do is really think this out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things also may require a color change, a uniform change, and they got to get permission from Major League Baseball before they even look at doing things.
So who files these trademarks? Do the actual Cleveland baseball team does, or does MLB?
Major League Baseball has to do these. Everything that has to do with their teams is owned by Major League Baseball.
So Major League Baseball files the trademark.
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of the franchise agreements. When they launch a new team, the franchise has to turn over all IP rights back to Major League Baseball. That's how all these contracts are done when you launch a team.
Exit 4.
And last but not least for this week, the NHL is looking into a new revenue stream because they are hurting because of the pandemic.
All right.
According to league revenue sources, revenue was down 14% this season.
I'm surprised it wasn't more.
It's down 14%.
Yeah, well, that's a lot, but I'm surprised it's not down 50, 60% or something like that, you know?
Well, it's just one of those things. The pandemic is really killing them.
Yeah.
So they have been looking at different ways of bringing in additional revenue to help the teams out. This has been talked about for about a year now. They want to do helmet sponsorships.
Yeah, it makes sense. Hey, you know what? Anything to bring in money. I mean, I thought they were going to do more of the I don't know what the technology involved is, but they can put something on the ice that isn't actually digital overlays where they can change it every period, or you can change it. You can put 5 minutes of digital overlay on the ice for one sponsor, or 10 minutes for another sponsor, depending on how much they pay. But I thought they were doing more of that.
Well, they have been.
Yeah,
but you can only load it up so much.
You only load it up. Put it so you can't even see the ice.
Yeah, you know? I mean, at some point you're not going to see the puck.
I mean, yeah, right.
But this is being done overseas. The European hockey leagues all have helmet sponsors.
Oh, makes sense.
And they're doing well with it. But again,
look, basketball, NBA, they have the jersey sponsorships. So why not the NHL have their helmet sponsorships?
Well, not only do the NBA have the regular season jerseys, they have the practice season jerseys. Sure. They've also eased up restrictions on alcohol sponsorships, gambling sponsorships. Major League Soccer also are going to have shorts sponsors.
Sure, okay.
They don't have anything on their shorts yet.
So, you know what? Makes sense for NHL to do their helmet sponsorships.
And they're saying this is the test period. This season will be a test period in terms of not only getting the sponsorships on the helmets, but this may lead to jersey sponsorships in hockey.
Fine with me.
Which is something this league needs because I think they have been hurt the most by the pandemic, more so than any other pro leagues. Baseball, I know, shut down their minor league system.
Yeah.
They're restarting that, as a matter of fact. Basketball is doing well.
I haven't heard too much about the D-Leagues in
D-League
basketball.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, in basketball?
G-League.
Okay. G-League. They used to, well, what do they call it? I call it the D-League, developmental, but they change it to G-League?
Because Gator is the big sponsor.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's another sponsorship. So NHL doing helmet sponsorships, not a problem.
It's a step in the right direction.
Not a problem with it. And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. at Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
Stick around. We got a great show coming up. We're going to have our NFL picks. We're going to have the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. Then I'm going to have a very interesting interview with Jeff Edelstein from usbets.com, mibets.com, and Better Collective. We're going to be talking about Michigan sports betting and gambling. Virginia is starting up their venture into the gambling world. We're going to hear all about that. And we're also going to talk about an issue about how some of the sports books will limit on how much you can bet. So we're going to talk with Jeff Edelstein about all those when we come back with Turnpike Sports. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
Psst. Yeah, you. Come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here.
Use offer code SPICE404.
They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-297-9788. 800-297-9788.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Lots of things are happening in the gambling world. Michigan's gearing up for online sports betting and online casinos. Virginia's even preparing to enter the gambling world. And there are even issues about how much a sportsbook will let you bet. And we're going to hear all about these issues from a very talented writer and reporter from usbets.com, mibets.com, and Better Collective. Jeff Edelstein is on the line. Jeff, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, man. How you doing today?
Doing great. And for people who are listening on our New Jersey stations and are asking themselves, hey, is that the guy from the Trentonian? Yes, that's the guy from the Trentonian. Because I did the same thing. But it's great.
There you go. Yeah, I've been at the paper for a long time, and I'm still writing some columns for him, so it's all good.
Big fan for lots of years. I'm from your part of New Jersey, so I've read you lots of times. And I got to tell you, I'm loving your gambling stuff now. I mean, what you're covering in Michigan is so incredible. I know a lot of people are interested in Michigan. I know a while back the state passed a gambling expansion law, which included online casinos, online poker, and online sports betting. But as we sit and talk today, I mean, if I wanted to gamble in Michigan, what's available to me today if I wanted to go out and gamble in Michigan?
Not a lot. Right now, the 3 Detroit casinos are closed due to COVID. They're set to reopen December 20th. I'm not sure, if the governor's going to, if she'll extend that or not. A handful of tribal casinos are also closed due to COVID, but there are some that are open. I think last I checked, I want to say 17 of the tribal casinos are open. So, and a lot of them do have sports books. So if you want to get a sports bet down in Michigan right now, your best bet's a tribal casino. But it really does appear that mid-January seems to really be the launch for the online products, and it's going to be one of the more watched launches, I think, that we've had, probably since New Jersey came on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But, you mentioned the pandemic. But when it comes to Michigan and the pandemic, how have they handled the COVID crisis? I mean, have they been on did they suspend activity? Did they decrease the amount of people going in? Or have they been closed all this time? What happened in Michigan with regard to the casinos?
The governor, Gretchen Whitmer, she closed down things back in March, along with with most of the rest of with a lot of other governors, especially Democratic governors, across the country, including the casinos. The casinos did not open back up. The Detroit casinos did not open back up until it was mid-August, I believe, and at the time it was 15% capacity. And I'm not sure. I don't think the capacity limits were ever really raised for the 3 Detroit casinos. Now, the tribal casinos, not controlled by the Michigan state government, federal lands, controlled federally. Most of them closed early on, but opened up probably about, maybe a month or 2, 3 after, the original shutdown. The 3, city casinos were back open up in August, 15% capacity. And then it was, I want to say, the 6th of December that the governor came back and shut everything down again. And so it was extended once. We'll see if she extends it again. But obviously it's been a hit for the casinos, sure. And clearly, the online product cannot happen soon enough for them.
Oh, absolutely, and like I said, you've been covering Michigan in such a great way, and it's really great to see what's going on in Michigan. I know they passed a law that expanded gambling to online casinos. I want to hit the online casino aspect of it first. I mean, you mentioned mid-January. Have they given any more of a specific time frame when those online casinos would go live?
No, and I'll tell you, I think the press people, I think, at the Michigan Gaming Control Board have had quite enough of me, because I keep emailing them every day. I'm like, give me anything. I'll take any morsel you got. But so basically what happened was, the law was passed back in December of last year. It's been a little bit over a year now that the law has been on the books. And then after the law gets passed, then it has to go through the process, right? And the process basically consisted of the Michigan Gaming Control Board setting up the rules and regulations, which they did, and then that gets passed off to the it's called JCAR. It's like a rules committee in the Michigan, House and Senate. They finally got around to it. They finally waved the rules through a few weeks ago, and once that happened, then it just becomes a question of licensing and testing and getting, really dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And that process started on December 2nd. At the time, the Michigan Gaming Control Board gave a 4 to 6 week window for that to kind of play itself out before the first, casinos and sportsbooks come online. In recent days, they've kind of pushed it much more towards that 6-week angle. And so while we don't have an official date for any one sportsbook or casino to launch, they're pretty firm with the mid-January date, which puts them at the far end of their original 4 to 6 week plan. And what's really interesting, there's no way to know until it happens, obviously, but it's kind of expected that, instead of like a slow dribble out of, a FanDuel here or BetMGM there, it's going to be a little bit of like a gold rush scenario where a lot of these sportsbooks and casinos are going to be launching, certainly within weeks of each other, probably within days of each other, and I wouldn't be surprised that in some cases within hours of each other.
I remember here in New Jersey, I think when we're talking about sports books, DraftKings started first, and they were number one sports book for a couple of months until everyone caught up to them. And I was wondering how the rollout would happen. Online casinos and online sports books. I was just very interested in how they would do that. Have they talked about how they're going to do that? Roll it out, gently, or they're going to everything's going to be available?
From what I've been able to gather from the Michigan Gaming Control Board is once these companies once everything's filed and ready to go, they're going to give them the green light.
Okay.
And so again, obviously, the landscape of online sportsbook and online casinos has changed dramatically in the 2 years plus since New Jersey, was the first to launch, right?
Yeah.
There is, the race to secure customers is, with, giant bonuses and, givebacks and promotions. It's just like any other business. You want to get those customers first and lock them in and hopefully keep them, from playing on the other sites. Obviously that's, I'm sure, the goal of all these places, and getting first to market is going to be, especially in the dead of winter in Michigan. I don't know, that seems to be a pretty good place to be, first to market.
I remember when New Jersey started online casinos, the geolocation was just terrible. I could play online casinos in my living room, but they said my bedroom was too close to Pennsylvania. and I remember when sportsbooks started, some banks didn't want to get involved. Are they banking on some of these problems, or am I talking about old generation technology that I'm complaining about?
Yeah, I think a lot of lessons have been learned in these short 2 years, right? Where I think they expect the rollout to go relatively smoothly, and I think that's kind of highlighted by the fact that they're casinos and sportsbooks are coming day one with this. It's not like they're not going to stagger the launch of one or the other. So to overuse the term, it looks like Michigan is going all in immediately with all this stuff. And I don't think they anticipate problems along those lines. I think the sports books and the casinos and their partners, I think they know what they're doing at this point.
When we talk about the online casinos in Michigan, what casinos are we talking about, and how many online casinos do they expect to have?
Well, there are 15 licenses hanging around out there, so I don't know if they're going to have 15 casinos. I know some of the licensees, like Barstool, does not have a casino, and I do want to talk about Barstool later when we talk about sports books.
Absolutely.
But the casinos, I expect that they'll probably be, I want to say probably 7 or 8, probably within a few weeks of launch, and then some of the tribal properties are going to be a little late to the game. They're not ready to go. Some of them, 3 of them, I believe, are going solo, right? So they're not going to be branded as a FanDuel or DraftKings. They're not partnering up with anybody. They're going to be running solo. But as far as the casinos go, I think the 2 that bear most watching, right? So DraftKings and FanDuel, and FanDuel through Betfair, they're the considered to be right now at least the 2 big guns in the industry. But I think the 2 to watch in Michigan are certainly BetMGM. And a big reason for that is the MGM Grand Detroit is it's the top casino in the city, so they have obviously huge name recognition already. They have and obviously a huge customer base, and I'm sure those promotional emails, all they're waiting for is to hit the send button to their client list. So I think BetMGM is definitely right off the bat going to be one to watch. And the other one to watch, I think very interestingly, is going to be Golden Nugget.
Really?
On the casino front. Now, Golden Nugget, they are only in one state, and it's New Jersey. and they are routinely in the top 5 casinos here in New Jersey, which is impressive considering they're not exactly the biggest operation,
No.
Especially they don't have the sports book side, and so the casino for Golden Nugget, they are routinely ranked as the best casino by players in New Jersey, and so going out to Michigan where they don't have the name recognition obviously that they do here is a big test for them. And I think after that first month or two when those numbers start trickling in, and if Golden Nugget makes its way like into the top 5 in Michigan on the casino side, I think that's going to be very notable.
Anyone who's been quarantining here in New Jersey knows that Golden Nugget has been advertising on TV nonstop. So, yeah, do you expect to see that in Michigan as well? Just constant television commercials?
I don't know, but I would assume if it ain't broke, they're not going to fix it, right? And so you would assume that they're probably, if Michigan is their second place that they're launching, they must have a plan, right? So I would assume that they're going to go full throttle and try to get as much of that casino market as they possibly can.
You mentioned sports betting. I was curious, how is Michigan doing with sports betting? When they release numbers, you always hear about Nevada and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, but is Michigan really doing well with sports betting? And how many sports books are there in Michigan?
So the sports books, so when it comes to the tribal numbers, they're not released as often as you would like. The 3 casinos in Michigan are doing just fine. Now they're not, again, this being, it's in person only, and so it's not the, they're not getting obviously like all the customers that they're going to get when it comes time to, go online. But they're doing fine. I think it's hard to gauge honestly because they started, I want to say 3 days before the lockdown came in Michigan, as soon as they were ready to get going, it got torpedoed. As we're talking here, I'm looking up the latest numbers. Handle in November on the sportsbook side for the 3 Detroit casinos was $25 million, which ain't nothing, right? No. But when you look at New Jersey and with their online, I think they're closing in on $1 billion this month, I want to say, so there's a long, big launch pad for Michigan and for these sports books to gain, to gain money here, when they go online. And, Michigan is similar to New Jersey in many respects, right? The population's about 1 million. I think Michigan has about 1 million more residents. It has the city suburban split. So I think, New Jersey is probably a pretty good comp for what might be happening in Michigan, or what's might about to happen in Michigan.
And once again, you're talking about mid-January for the online sports books to hit, right?
Yeah, that seems, that's the closest, that's the hardest date we've locked down so far. So we'll call it sometime between January 10th and 20th until we hear otherwise. How about that?
So when these online sportsbook goes live, are we going to see the normal players in the Michigan market? The FanDuels, DraftKings, BetMGM, and I know you wrote a great article about Barstool Sports. What are some of the books we can expect to see in Michigan?
Yeah, so there are 15 of them coming. FanDuel and DraftKings are clearly considered to be, they're definitely there, and they are considered to be the 2 top, guns in the area there, right? And so everyone's going to be gunning for them. But PointsBet is going to be there. PointsBet is they're in New Jersey. They're a different animal, right? Where you can bet.
Yeah.
If you want to take, say, the Detroit Lions and -7 points, you could PointsBet that, and if they win by 10 points, you win more money. If they lose by 4 points, you lose more money. It's the whole thing, right? But PointsBet's going to be there. BetMGM, Barstool, William Hill, Fox Bet, Bet Rivers, which is currently only in Pennsylvania. They're going to be in Michigan. That will be their second state. Same with Parks. Parks is a Philadelphia-based sports book. They're going to be in Michigan. Golden Nugget will be there, and then there's a WinBet will be launching in Michigan. Bet America will be launching in Michigan, and then 3 of the tribal casinos who are not partnered with any of the big names. They're going to be going at it. They're going to be having their own software and going at it alone. That's the Firekeeper, Soaring Eagle, and 4 Winds tribes.
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be going at it. But yeah, while FanDuel and DraftKings are certainly the favorites to jump out to an early lead, as I said earlier, BetMGM certainly can't be counted out because they're pushing hard. You know, they've recently signed Jamie Foxx as their spokesperson, and as I said, they are the most. You know, they're the biggest casino in Detroit, so they have that name recognition. Barstool, I think is really, really, truly the one to watch. I spoke with someone at a Round Hill Investments. They have the biggest ETF, gambling related ETF in the business. Their product called Bets, BETZ. Mm-hmm. But their analyst Mateus Dorda thinks that Barstool legitimately might end up being the number one sports book in Michigan, which would be pretty big news, I think, in this world. You know, to topple FanDuel and DraftKings. And the reasoning behind this is Barstool, Dave Portnoy, the face of the Barstool Sportsbook, a University of Michigan graduate, so he has, he's a known quantity there. Obviously, the Barstool Sports app and the Stoolies, big, have a big presence out there.
Sure.
If Pennsylvania is any indication, when Barstool opened in Pennsylvania, Portnoy and the whole Barstool crowd will be literally moving to Michigan, setting up shop there, and like being part of like the culture. And on top of all this, Barstool launched in Pennsylvania, months after FanDuel DraftKings, right?
Yeah.
And, maybe even a year after. And they are now the number 3 book, in Pennsylvania. And so the idea that they're going to be starting, at the same time as everyone else, a lot of eyes on Barstool and how things go for them in Michigan.
Yeah, as I said, you wrote a great article about Barstool, and I was curious, and I know were very successful in Pennsylvania. Is that what everyone is looking at? They were very successful in Pennsylvania. They have a built-in audience, so they should do very well in Michigan?
That's the idea. Barstool is kind of, the Barstool Sportsbook, I don't think anyone really saw it coming, right? Because, Penn was in this game. Penn obviously is a major player in the casino game. And, nobody knew they were going to be buying an interest in Barstool, a year ago or whatever it was. And so now that they did, and they've really, Dave Portnoy is the face of Barstool Sportsbook, period, end of story. And no other sportsbook is going anywhere near close to like a persona-driven marketing ploy, if that makes any sense, right? Like they put their chips in with Portnoy, and they're saying, and with the idea being that like his personality and his social media following, and on top of that, let's not forget Barstool Sports is more than just Portnoy. There's a lot going on at Barstool,
Sure.
And it's going to serve. The hope is that it serves as a funnel to get people to their sports book. And, as I said, being able to start at the starting line with everybody else is going to be something that is going to be watched very closely, because if Barstool can jump out and, if Barstool at the end of the first month or two, if they are number 1 in Michigan, it'll be the biggest story of the year. I really think so,
It'd be very interesting to watch. But I want to switch gears and ask about another state that's going to start with sports betting, and that's Virginia. I mean, Virginia is a little different than your usual state that it allows sports betting because they have no casinos. What will sports betting look like in Virginia when it finally starts up?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, it is like, radio silence coming out of, the Virginia world. The one thing that we keep hearing is that they will launch sometime in the spring of 2021. Does that mean that they're going to launch in the spring of 2021? Your guess is as good as mine. Part of the issue, I think, that we're not getting that much out of Virginia is that this is going to be, kind of a state-run operation, right? Because it's going to be, the lottery, the Virginia lottery is the running this behind the scenes. Applications are in. They received, 25 sports betting applications. They have 90 days to go through those, and I think those applications were in by, I think, November 1st or October 31st was the date. So they have 90 days to approve these things. And there's only 12 licenses available, so not everyone who applied is going to get one. I guess theoretically, they could be live as early as late January, early February, but nobody knows. No announcements have come, from the lottery or from anywhere really. So it's kind of like a wait and see. One thing that we do know is that online is going to be launching there before casinos.
Yeah.
Brick and mortar casinos. Brick and mortar casinos looks like 2022. They're working on rules and they're going to have some casinos, on the ground by 2022. But for sure, I think there's 4 cities in the state that voters approved, brick and mortar casinos for. I think they were Bristol, Danville, Norfolk, and Portsmouth. So we're just waiting, really. There's a lot of hurry up and waiting out of Virginia, and they're not. And as I said, we're not getting the same, almost daily updates that we're getting from Michigan. So we'll see. I think we're going to wake up one morning and Virginia's going to be like, "Hey, guess what? We're live." So hold on.
Well, I got to tell you, what's interesting thing about Virginia is there's no requirement for an online sports book to be partnered with a retail property. I mean, I just interviewed a new sports book out there called Zen Sports, and they applied to Virginia because they don't have the retail property in Virginia. And I was curious. I mean, are we going to see that from Virginia? A lot of the new sports books I've never heard of, start applying there. It's going to be such a very interesting state to look at.
Yeah, I mean, there really is no way to know. The one thing about those 12 licenses, though, is that there seems to be like a little wiggle room, right?
Yeah.
Basically, if you set up shop at an existing a professional sports venue, right? Then it doesn't count towards the 12 licenses. And so, like companies like WinBet, for instance, is partnered with the Richmond Raceway, okay, with the idea being that they could set up a shop there. And that wouldn't count towards the 12 licenses.
Wow, that's interesting.
There's a lot of unknowns really with Virginia right now, or at least a lot of we're not telling you yet part. But I'll tell you, if they're going to let any brand new operators into the space, what are you doing later today? Maybe we should put a little plan together.
Yeah, right. Hey, let's get a business plan to submit it. What the hell? Jeff, we don't have a lot of time left, but I certainly want to hit upon an excellent article you wrote on usbets.com, and that has to do with betting limits from some sports books. I mean, I follow some bettors on social media, and this is one of their big gripes about sports books. But really, it's not just an issue for people who bet big all the time. I mean, for people who aren't familiar with the issue of sports books limiting your bets, what are we talking about here? When a sports book puts a limit on your bet, what are you referring to?
Well, it's the amount that they're going to let you wager on any one event, and this is it's not like a new thing, right?
No.
Going back into the olden days of pre-PASPA, of course casinos were going to have limits on their bets, but for the most part, they were hard and fast, and the people and gamblers and bettors knew what they were. The difference now with these online books is that that's not really the case. You don't really know where you stand. And, sports books and professional bettors have long had, a mostly symbiotic relationship, right? So, bookmaker A sets the line at -3. All the pros come in, they love it, they start hammering the -3. Now all of a sudden you wake up tomorrow and it's -4, right? Yeah. And so the books and the sports bettors kind of it was mostly a symbiotic relationship, and that's how lines ended up getting made for the most part, right? The book puts the line out, and they wait to see what the sharp action does. They adjust the lines accordingly. The online books, the newer sports books into this field, they're not doing that. They're very quickly limiting sharp action, right? And so in some cases, it's hard to say that the line is a true market line, right? If you're not getting the sharp action. Yeah. In other cases, it's pushing sharp action away because a sharp bettor is not going to want to if they're limited to $100 a bet. What are they doing there? And there is concern that this will continue to push things offshore. It could be a little bit of a black eye for the industry, but it's not just big bettors. One of the things I touched on in the column, what really triggered the column in the first place, was a guy out in Chicago. He's a fantasy football analyst, as a job, and he tried to get a bet down on the Chicago Bulls number 4 pick, who it was going to be in the in the NBA draft. and I can't remember who they ended up drafting. This is a day-to-day game here, but he was right. Okay, and at the time when he tried to get his bet down, the odds were plus 3,000, listed at plus 3,000. So he put down a bet for $250, and he gets back immediately that he was approved for $29.50, and that he'd have to wait on the rest of the bet. 10, 15 minutes pass. They come back to him. They say, we're not accepting the bet. The odds go from plus 3,000 to plus 800 on him, right? And so that just seemed a little disingenuous to me, right? And then I started looking a little bit deeper into it, and I was finding that a lot of players, and these are not necessarily what you would consider to be professional sports bettors, but they are, maybe known quantities in the fantasy football industry or whatever. They were having trouble getting down $100 a side, early on early week action. And so, the column that I wrote really concentrated on the fact that this is really the only business I can think of where how much you're allowed to spend is opaque. I likened it, and probably this was a little foolish, but I likened it to going to the grocery store, filling up your cart, getting up to the register. You got $250 worth of groceries on the conveyor belt, and the cashier says, you're only approved for $31 today. I mean, obviously you're going to take your business to a different supermarket, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, there's a
and
lot.
So
of
the idea. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm curious. There's a lot of new sports bettors out there. It's a brand new thing for a lot of people across this country, and I'm sure people are listening to this and thinking, is there any way for me to know that I could run into this problem before I place the bet, or am I really flying blind when it comes to something like this?
You're flying blind. I mean, if you look at the rules and regulations of these sports books, they all have posted limits, right? That they'll take bets up to X amount of dollars on NFL games, take X amount of dollars on player props, blah, blah, blah. But they all also have the following sentence in one way, shape, or form. We reserve the right to not accept any bet, right? So they have limits in place, but they're also reserving the right to not take the action. And it's surprising how quickly it can happen. I don't want to name the book, and I am not. I am the furthest thing from a sharp, the furthest thing from a whale, right? But I did run into a little bit of good luck with one of these on one of these sports books, where I ended up about $4,000 over the course of maybe 6 or 7 months. Okay, so this was I was thrilled. This is I couldn't believe it, right? Well, next thing I know, I try to put a player prop bet down for $100, and I get denied, and they limited me to $20, and I am not. Okay. As I said, I cannot stress this enough. I am not a big bettor, right? And I'm certainly not one that I think would be, flagged, but I was. And so, there really is no way to know. But I'll tell you this, if you're a new bettor and you put down a few $1,000s here and a few $1,000s there and you win, I would expect to get limited pretty quickly. And I think that going forward could become a major issue for these sports books.
Well, certainly sports books are private businesses and they have every right to make money. But when it comes to betting limits, are there operators that handle it better than others when it comes to notifying their customers?
Well, yeah. So Circa, which is they've been open 18 months in Nevada. They have an online presence there, and they also have an online presence in Colorado, and they plan on going growing further in the coming years. They have posted limits that are a little bit lower than some of the other sports books. Not a lot, or a little bit lower than some of the other sports books, but they guarantee that they will take the action. Okay, they're basically running it Nevada style, where they're welcoming the sharp bettors. They're posting lines early. They're welcoming the sharp bettors, and they're using them to try to make a good market for themselves. So they're right now. Now listen, I don't want to talk for every sports book, but I do know that as far as I can tell, Circa seems to be. I don't want to say the only one, but they may very well be the only one who are running the sportsbook operation. The way it used to be run, when it was just, happening in Vegas.
Do you think this is an issue that could be settled in the near future? I mean, if people make enough noise about it, sports books will take notice and maybe make changes to this practice, or are we screaming at a brick wall?
It's hard to say. Yeah. It's hard to say. And the reason I think it's hard to say is that, so much of the market is going to be, and so much of the market is going to be, and so much of the market that the sports books are going after are the hobbyists, right?
Yep.
They're trying, in a perfect world, right? We're going to wake up in 10 years, and betting on sports books is going to be seen, kind of like gardening. It's a nice little hobby for someone to have, right? And so I don't know that the sports books are necessarily going to like change their methods when it comes to, limiting action. I would hope that at the very least that they are going to be a little bit more forthright with what action they're going to limit, right? So if let's say I've been playing on XYZ Sportsbook for a year and I'm winning, let's say, it would be nice for them to tell me, hey, listen, we're going to limit you on player props to $50 a side, going forward. That way I know not to spend 3 hours trying to figure out how Evan Ingram is going to do against the Titans this weekend. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I'll tell you, the column that I wrote for US Bets, it got a lot of traction, more traction than I expected, honestly. A lot of big bettors, a lot of big names in the industry were retweeting it and everything. And, I got a lot of congratulatory tweets and, things along those lines. Not one sportsbook reached out to me, though. So that might be a little telling, right?
Jeff, we're running out of time, but I want to give you the chance to tell people where they can read your articles and also give out your social media address so people can follow what you're up to.
For sure. The best place to find me is on Twitter at Jeff Edelstein. That's EDELSTEIN. And, I'm writing across all the Better Collective properties, US Bets and Sports Handle, as well as MIBets.com and TNBets.com for Tennessee. I'm a little bit everywhere. Going global, I guess.
There you go. Jeff Edelstein from MIBets.com, USBets.com, and Better Collective. Thanks so much for coming on and giving us an update about what's going on in the gambling world. And seriously, man, don't be a stranger. We love having you back on.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you for having me.
All right. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Attention seniors with Medicare. This is an important announcement. Did you know you may qualify for a monthly Social Security rebate? Did you know you may qualify for a $0 monthly premium? That's right. You may qualify to get $135 added back to your Social Security check each month. Just call the Medicare benefits line to get your options. It's a free call. You may also qualify for $0 premiums, dental coverage, vision coverage, hearing coverage, and prescription drug coverage. With this type of plan, you don't need Medicare supplement insurance. Call now because you deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits, including a rebate to your Social Security check each month. Agents are standing by with free information regarding Medicare benefits. It's a free call with no obligation, but it could mean big savings for you. Call the Medicare benefits line now to see if you're eligible for a Social Security rebate.
Call 800-574-6770. 800-574-6770.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now live in. What do you want to keep safe? The people in your life? What do you want to protect? Your possessions, the things that belong to you, the things that you've worked hard for. Wouldn't it be nice to have tested, trusted 24/7 protection? Peace of mind, real protection that's always there for you and your whole family? Well, now you can with one of our state-of-the-art home security systems. Everyone thinks their home is safe until the unexpected happens. Help protect your home and loved ones today with the affordable Next Generation in Home Security. To help keep your family and property safe, call 1-800-520-4068 now. Representatives are standing by to assist you. That's 1-800-250-4068. 1-800-520-4068.
And the Turnpike Sports Pro Football Pick segment is brought to you by William Hill in New Jersey. Football is back, and William Hill is celebrating the 2020 season with a great new welcome offer in New Jersey. Sign up with William Hill Online Sportsbook in New Jersey using our promo code PIKE500 to receive a free bet up to $500 with your first deposit of $50 or more. That's promo code PIKE500 for a free bet up to $500 with your first deposit of $50 or more at William Hill in New Jersey. Must be at least 21 years or older and in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply. New customers only. Problem gambler? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, here we're in the Pro Pick segment, and as always, we're going to be picking from among 3 games each. either totals, the over-under, or the point spread. No money line here. We're going to put these up on the blog.
Money line's too easy.
Yes. But we're going to put these up on the blog, turnpikesportsradio.com. Click on the blog button, and you'll see our picks posted about an hour or so after the show is released. We're releasing it early this week because of the Christmas holiday here, where there's going to be 4 straight days of games for the NFL, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's going to be very interesting to watch all this football being played again. It's going to feel like a stretched-out Thanksgiving holiday with all these games going on.
Sure.
But the picks will be up. Just if you feel like commenting on them, you can. info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. Turnpike Sports is the handle for both of those. Turnpike Sports Radio is the Instagram handle as well. Last week, you did well again, or you did good. You didn't do well.
I did good. I did good.
Yeah, you went 2-1.
2-1. Yeah.
And I did the picket fence. I went 1-1-1. I got another push. My second push of the season. Overall, you are now 30-15.
Okay.
You're just kicking my butt here. I'm 23-20-2. I've never seen so many pushes in my life here.
Okay.
So, anyway, I went first last week for the picks. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, my first game is the New Orleans Saints, who are 7-point favorites, versus the Minnesota Vikings with an over-under of 52. Yeah, look, I on another bet, not for the show, but I went with Minnesota, and they just let me down because Minnesota, I think, is a much better team that they have shown. I mean, they've just been wildly inconsistent. But in this one, I think the Saints are a much better team than the Vikings. However, Drew Brees is just coming off an injury. He looked good. He went 15 for 30-something, but he didn't look 100%. And I'm liking the Vikings in this one. I mean, in their last 11 games, the Vikings are 9-2 against the spread. I think they have enough talent to keep this game close. I think the Saints are going to win it, but I think the Vikings are going to cover. So I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings to cover.
Well, it's probably going to take a little while for Drew Brees to get over all those broken ribs and everything.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns, though. Yep. He threw for 3 touchdowns. But 15 for 30-something, that's
a little below what he usually does.
Un-Drew Brees-like.
Well, my first game for this week is the Miami Dolphins being favored by 2.5 at the Las Vegas Raiders. There's an over-under of 48. I have to admit, after seeing the Dolphins not only knock the Patriots out of the playoffs last week in a what was a dominant win. I mean, there could have been another touchdown or two there because one was called back because of a guy stepped out of bounds at the wrong time. But they've won 8 of their last 10 games, so you got to take Miami seriously now. Okay. And I'm really pleased to see that team playing well again because I remember as a Jet fan seeing Miami play incredibly well. The offense was amazing. But in this iteration of the team, their defense is playing extremely well, better than their offense. But their offense is playing pretty good, too, with Tua back there.
Yep.
With regards to the Raiders, they're the home team, and they've lost 2 in a row at Allegiant Stadium. They're 2-5 straight up at home, 3-4 against the spread. And overall, in their last 10 games, they're 5-5 against the spread. Miami, get this, they're 4-2 against the spread as a visiting team. And in their last 10 games overall, they are 9-1 against the spread.
Wow.
So I think you know where I'm going here. Miami and laying the points.
I completely agree with you. But for different reasons. I love all those stats. I'm taking Miami as well. I'm taking Miami and laying the points. But for me, the defense, it comes down to defense. Here we go. The Raiders' defense this year has given up over 30 points per game to opponents and have allowed over 390 yards per game to their opponents. That's why I'm taking Miami, because it's going to come down to defense, and I think Miami will edge out the Raiders on that one. And I think the Miami might win by a field goal, but that's enough to win this game.
Oh, I think so.
So, absolutely.
My next game, Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 3 points, and there's an over-under of 50. Denver hasn't scored more than 20 points in 4 of its last 5 games, and last week they did it in overtime. They went to 30 points. First time they've hit 30 points in about 5-6 weeks. This is their last 3 games before Week 15. 17 points, 0 points, 20 points. The Denver offense hasn't scored more than 20 points either.
Okay, wow.
The under is 4-2.
This one should be a barn burner, huh?
The under is 4-2 in Denver's last 6 games, 3-2 in the last 5 road games for Denver. LA's last 2 home games, the Chargers went under as well, and they're playing in Los Angeles. The under is also 4-2 in the last 6 games between these two teams. So I'm doing the under 50 points.
All right, my last game is Philadelphia Eagles, who are favored by 1.5 points versus the Dallas Cowboys with an over-under of 49.5. This is going to be a high-scoring game, not because the offenses are good, but the defenses of both these teams really suck. I mean, Dallas has a historically bad defense, and the Eagles' secondary is just destroyed with injuries, and I think the football is going to be flying all around this stadium. And this might be one of those games where the team that has the ball last will win it. So I'm thinking this is going to go over the 49.5 points just because neither of these defenses can stop the offenses of the other team. So I'm taking the over in this one.
Well, this is my last game as well.
Okay.
And I went with the total, but I'm going under.
Ooh, okay.
49.5. Philly, since they made the switch from Wentz to Hurts, the offense has scored 26 and 24 points. They've scored 50 points in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they couldn't break 20.
Yeah. That's why they changed.
I think what's going on is you're seeing the new quarterback coming in, and no one's used to him yet.
Yeah, well, not a lot of film on him.
So I think at some point, they're not going to score a lot of points here. And also, if you look at Dallas, the last 2 games, Dallas has scored a lot of points because of some freak plays, a lot of turnovers by the other team, a lot of boneheaded mistakes by their opponents. They really haven't scored a lot. Dallas has not scored over 20 points as well in about 4 of their last 6. So I think the last 2 games for both these teams are kind of an anomaly in what they've been doing, and my inclination would be go under the 49.5 here.
Okay. So we're together on one of them, Miami Dolphins and the points.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Eagles game and the Eagles-Dallas game, I'm going over the 49.5,
right,
and you're going under the 49.5.
Exactly. So We'll see exactly what happens here. I can't do any worse than a lot of the other weeks I've been doing. So, but again, I did Dolphins 2.5, Denver, LA under 50, Philly, Dallas under 49.5.
All right, mine is I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings to cover the 7 points that New Orleans Saints are favored by. I'm taking the over 49.5 in the Philadelphia Eagles-Dallas Cowboys games, and I'm taking the Miami Dolphins and the 2.5 points versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right, and our picks will be put up on the Turnpike Sports blog about an hour or so after the show is released. Head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com, click on the blog button. You'll see our picks there. You feel free to comment at the blog. Email us, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Hit us up on social media, Twitter and Facebook are at Turnpike Sports, at Turnpike Sports Radio on Instagram.
Coming up is the Turnpike Sports Book Report, so stick around because more Turnpike Sports is on the way.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. If your employer doesn't supply health care coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private health care is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. To get the coverage you need, call the number on the screen now.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casinos now, your favorite sports book available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you get a risk-free bet up to $300 and 20 bonus dollars at BorgataCasino.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And in this week's book report, we got a boatload of stuff to talk about here.
Yeah, I see all your notes in front of you.
We've got sports betting numbers from several states, which include
more records,
which include state records,
okay,
national records.
Oh wow! Okay.
We've got a couple deals to go through. We have a couple launches to go through.
Launches. Oh.
One launch in particular actually shed some light on what Pennsylvania is doing with some of the mini casinos.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get into all that stuff. First up, New Jersey.
Okay.
Have once again, I don't know if I can keep saying once again, but each month they keep setting a national handle record.
New Jersey set a national
and also
record
it's a state
again.
record. It's a state record.
Again.
Hate to be repetitive,
yeah.
But they brought in November's sports betting numbers brought in a handle of 931.6 million. They are quickly approaching a $1 billion month.
That'd be very interesting to see. I'm curious. Those are November numbers, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. Basketball started on December 22nd, so I'm not sure how much that could factor in, but maybe New Jersey can hit $1 billion in December. Do you think?
Well, you got
can December numbers hit $1 billion for Jersey?
Well, you still got the NFL. You still got
NFL.
You got NBA starting up.
NBA.
It's just starting up, but the futures have been up for a while now, so they're betting there. You're going to have other sports still going. MMA still going. You have you're going to have overseas tournaments. People are betting on soccer, all that stuff.
Sure.
So
I'm very curious to see what's the month that Jersey knocks it over $1 billion.
It may very well be November. It could even be December. I mean,
you're giving us November numbers. So.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's right. I'm confused here. I've confused myself.
I'm waiting for December's numbers to see if we can get it to $1 billion.
I don't know if December can do it though.
Like I said, NBA starting up. I don't know. December 22nd was the start of the NBA, so I don't know if there's enough. Was it a week?
Yeah,
week and a half maybe.
I'm thinking you may
NBA
see
basketball.
January being the month.
I did my first NBA bet, by the way. I did a futures NBA bet.
I did a couple.
I did I just did one. It was a very interesting one because I've never seen it winning percentage. I did the and people can write in and tell me if this was a stupid bet. I bet that for the entire season the Sixers will have a winning percentage of 61.5. So at the end of the season, I can see if the Sixers will have a 61.5 win percentage.
If they do a full season, 82 games?
It's based on a 60-game
Well, they have to have 60 games.
Yeah, they actually have to have 60 games, and that's when it kicks in.
Because if it doesn't reach 60 games, that's when they void the bet.
That's when it kicks in.
Yeah.
So.
But New Jersey also had a revenue of $50.6 million and a hold of 5.43%. One of the lowest holds we're going to talk about today.
Oh, okay.
But $19.4 million in taxes as well.
Great.
So all around, New Jersey's numbers are up. I know the casino revenue numbers were down a bit.
Well,
a lot, of matter of fact. Yeah. iGaming and sports betting are carrying everything. Illinois had a record state handle of $434.6 million.
Wow, boy. Illinois is going to be a hell of a market. Once they get rolling, once we kind of get out of this pandemic, I'm very curious to see how Illinois does with sports betting.
Well, that's their October numbers.
Yeah.
So we don't know what they're going to have in November yet. They report a month late.
Okay.
Later than everybody else, I should say. They had a hold of 9.7% and a revenue of $42.2 million in October. Now, last week we had talked about the AGA saying October was going to be the biggest month for sports betting handle nationally. I think we surpassed that $3 billion mark really quickly here with this.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, looking at these numbers, the one state I'm really more impressed with as you look at some of these things was Indiana, because Indiana had almost $240 million in handle. and that's next to Illinois now.
Okay.
And they're not slowing down. Indiana had a record state handle
Let
as
me
well.
tell you something. The Midwest, I think, is going to be an incredible section of the country when it comes to sports betting.
Well, they had an online handle, Illinois, of 430.5 million. Doing some quick math, that's like a 98% online handle.
Is
right there?
Is that why you had the calculator out?
Yes.
I was wondering what you were doing with a calculator. I was like, must be working on some figures there.
Well, if you compare that to Jersey, who just had the almost $1 billion month, they had a 93.6% of that being online.
Wow. Okay.
So Illinois is just basically, online only right now.
Sure. Makes sense.
Total of $11.7 million bets were placed in the month of October.
Okay. Wow.
40% of that was on footballs. Parlays had 30% of that amount of bets. That's a lot of betting going on.
They love their parlays. What was that? Parlays don't build bankrolls; they build sports books.
Yes.
Is that the old saying that
Exactly.
the sports bettor use? So.
Well, staying in the Midwest, Iowa, they also had a record handle report in November this time, $87.2 million. Now, Iowa's a smaller betting market, and they're just really starting out. 62.4 million in wagers were placed online of that 87.2 million. Let's see. Sports betting in the 5 months of this year since they've launched, $314.6 million total handle.
Okay.
222 million of that was wagered via online. They reported a November revenue of 8.1 million, and taxes was not much. But year to date, they're about 1.87 million for taxes. Washington, D.C. is always interesting because they reported their numbers as well. Because we have, the way it's set up is weird. They have the temporary sports book, the retail book with William Hill at the stadium, and then you have the D.C. Lottery's Gambit D.C.
D.C. is very interesting when people are starting to get back into the stadiums. I think DC is going to be huge because you know what, they had their sports book at the stadium.
Right.
So at the stadium. So when people start attending games again, their numbers are going to skyrocket.
Well, according to the numbers just recently released for November, 3.9 million in handle from Gambit DC, because they always report them separately. They don't do them totally. 3.9 million for Gambit. The William Hill temporary sportsbook brought in 13.7 million in handle. Very rarely do you see a retail
Now,
book.
the temporary sportsbook is the one at the arena.
Right.
That's going to explode when
Yeah.
people get back to watching.
Well, also
or
you're going
attending
to see
games.
you're also going to see the online when people are in the stadium. They can use a William Hill app.
Yeah.
So you're going to see an online handle shoot up there too.
Yeah.
But again, this is only a retail book beating an online book, especially coming from Jersey or in Pennsylvania. It's kind of unheard of to really embarrass a online book from a retail book. But that's what's happening in D.C. You're seeing William Hill outperform the D.C. Lottery's own app for sports betting. And the app is available throughout the entire district. The William Hill book is only in that stadium.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Well,
Okay.
that's why it's interesting. It's kind of a weird setup there. Gambit had a 22.7% hold, and William Hill in DC had a 19.9%.
Wow.
So both of them are holding on to a lot more money than a lot of the neighboring states are doing. But that could just be amount of, the volume or maybe even just traffic in terms of going other places.
People are crazy and they're betting on parlays and they're
That could
losing.
be it too.
That's what's happening.
Mississippi also reported their numbers for the month of November. Revenue was $8.1 million on a handle of $54.4 million. Now, remember, Mississippi does not have online sports betting.
That's pretty impressive for in a pandemic with no online sports betting. That's pretty good.
Well, the November handle of $54 million was down 11% from the $61 million that they reported in October. So the retail books are still performing well.
Yep.
But again, I don't know whether it's the amount of sports going on. I don't know exactly what the trends for Mississippi bettors are, what they follow.
College football.
Well,
that just
again,
seems like a college football state.
Well, according to the breakdowns, Mississippi bettors, let's see, at the coastal casinos only, because they break them down to regions as well. $26.2 million was wagered on football, $1.3 million on basketball, $23,000 on baseball.
Okay, when you say football, that means college and
pro.
Pro. Okay, yeah. Well, they know they love their football.
And then you have a further $4.7 million was wagered on other sports. And your guess could be good as mine in terms of Mississippi. I know in Colorado, if you're talking sports betting, you got to throw in table tennis.
Table tennis, boy, God.
But and also $3.6 million was done on parlay betting.
Okay,
so they have it broken down pretty well there. Going out to Colorado, this is one of the deals that we're going to talk about real quick here.
All right,
Gameco, which is the skill-based casino gaming company. They do all the like the Space Invaders type games, or some of the other skill-based games that you can play in a casino and win money on.
I saw a Space Invader one. Oh, I think it was at Bally's in Atlantic City.
Yeah, but they have a whole bunch, and I think it's in Tropicana. They each actually have a little section for all that stuff too, for skill-based games.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. They have partnered with U.S. Bookmaking and the Sky Ute Casino in Colorado to launch what's being called the first esports sportsbook in the country.
Nice. I like that.
It's all dedicated just to esports. Gameco's been building toward this because they have done several deals in the past where they are almost self-sufficiently able to provide not only the book itself, the esports platform, but also the technology for data tracking, the integrity systems used to monitor the betting. And it's going to be interesting to see how this does. I mean, Colorado's breaking records since they launched. But this is the first time we're going to see a sportsbook dedicated only to esports.
I think that's great.
I think that it's going to be very fun to watch this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of sports books are going to take notice and keep track. And if it does really well, I think you're going to see a lot of esports offered at sports books across the country.
I think, and also with U.S. bookmaking involved.
Sure.
They're actually one of the top tier sportsbook operators in the country. So that's going to be a really good partnership to watch. Blaine over at Gameco is one of the smartest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an interesting addition to the sports betting market. Let me put it that way. Also in Colorado, they did a little summary of year-to-date tax revenue coming in, because really the sports betting industry was launched to help the state itself in terms of one of the things that was hooked into the sports betting bill was the water consumption or the water reclamation project that they have going on, the Double D tax, whatever they want to call it.
All right.
According to their numbers, while the entire fiscal year isn't over yet, they have brought in $814,000 in revenue collected so far.
Great.
They had projected originally $6 million way back when they first started talking about passing the bill.
Well, look, I mean, this is a tough year. 2020 has not been a good year for gambling or sports betting, regardless of these crazy numbers that we're talking about.
Table tennis.
It should have been a lot bigger for 2020, but considering the pandemic, I think the sports betting industry has really rolled with the punches.
Well, they revised the numbers downwards to 1.5 to 1.7,
Okay.
so the 814,000 is almost on track for that.
Sure.
Compared to other states, they're doing pretty well. Indiana has brought in $12 million in tax revenue so far. New Hampshire, which has a similar timeline to Indiana, has brought in around $4.5 million. So really the state size is going to affect all this stuff too. Staying in Colorado, remember a while ago they suspended betting on Ukraine table tennis?
Yeah, I remember that story.
Well, our friends over at U.S. Bets and have uncovered some other additional information, Sports Handle. There was some kind of investigation into some unusual betting activity, unusual bets being placed, and I want to get this right here. The Australian Organized Crime Squad,
okay,
had been doing a sting, I guess, operation on table tennis coming out of Ukraine.
All right.
Which makes sense to me.
Well, that's their job. I mean,
yeah.
they should be monitoring every sport.
Well, they they have. Let's see. They took their investigation uncovered a series of corrupt bets of about $500,000 in the aggregate on table tennis events, and they arrested one of the a former Australian table tennis champion that was playing in some of these fixed matches, I should say.
The alleged fixed matches?
Yes. So they have actually shut down Ukraine table tennis in Colorado. I was actually more impressed with some of these numbers in terms of table tennis in Colorado. I mean, we were joking all through this about table tennis.
I bet on table tennis twice. I lost both of them. I don't understand the game. I mean, I just don't,
In total, in the first 6 months of legal sports betting in Colorado, $40 million was bet on table tennis.
Wow. Okay.
$9.35 million in October, and that amounted to about 6% of the state's betting handle.
Yeah, they love their table tennis out there.
But it was interesting. Even after those were suspended, that betting on that area of
the
table
Ukraine,
tennis, it went up.
Well,
I mean, I don't know whether or not they needed table tennis action like crazy.
Well, it made the
Colorado,
news.
but
I mean, table tennis itself made the news, and I think a lot of people heard that story. I mean, not that they're going to bet on Ukrainian table tennis, but they just realized, oh my God, you can bet on table tennis. And certainly that was at a time when a lot of sports weren't being played, but maybe they table tennis found new fans, and people made money betting on table tennis, and they said, hey, let me stick with table tennis. Obviously, I know table tennis, so I'm going to make some money off it. So maybe that's what happened.
Well, we're going to leave the table tennis area.
Good.
We're going to talk just a couple deals here real quick. BetMGM launched their online sportsbook last week.
Where's this at?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. All right.
This is where it gets interesting. It's through a partnership they struck with Penn National. Now, Penn National runs the Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah.
The casino or property, I should say, that they're hooked into for this online license is Penn National's mini casino.
Wow, great.
So we're starting to see where these additional licenses are going to start happening in Pennsylvania because no one knew what the state was doing with the mini casinos in terms of sports betting.
I cannot wait to drive over to Pennsylvania and check out one of these mini casinos that are being proposed and being built. And I don't think any of them are built yet or anything like that or in operation yet. I love the whole idea. It's a smaller version of a casino. There are only a smaller number of slot machines, a smaller number of table games, and the one question I didn't find out is, will they have a sports book attached to them, a physical sports book?
Some may, some may not.
So, no, I'm very curious to see how these mini casinos function, how they work out, and because I can't wait to visit them.
Well, there's going to be a total of 5 mini casinos.
All right.
And one of them's already got a BetMGM online sportsbook attached.
Okay.
They're all going to have their own skins.
Great. Hey.
So you're going to see at least 5 more
there's going to be
books.
a lot of sports books in Pennsylvania.
Yep. And 2 other quick things to hit upon in the time we have here. DraftKings is the first sportsbook fantasies company to offer branded gift cards for their site.
Okay.
For the holidays.
Okay.
They're available in 7-Eleven, Speedways, Dollar Generals. This is in collaboration with a company called Income Payments, which runs gift cards.
Oh, okay.
So they're branded gift cards. You're going to be able to
sense.
see that you can use it yourself, or you can give it as a gift, but you have to buy them and then load on money.
Okay.
And one of the things that everyone's pointing out, when it comes to gift cards, studies have shown that between 10 to 19% of a balance on a gift card goes unused. That goes back to DraftKings.
Oh, hey. Well, smart move.
So that increases their bottom line.
There it goes. Yeah,
and let's see. Hard Rock also increased their visibility in terms of the online sector. They have created what is being called Hard Rock Digital.
Okay.
Which is going to be, it's almost like Golden Nugget Online Gaming. It's going to be their digital side of everything. Every online site, whether it's sportsbook, iGaming, poker, whatever, is going to be run through Hard Rock Digital.
Okay.
That'll do it for this week's book report. As always, head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com, click on the blog button, and you'll see these stories that we talked about, as well as other stories that we didn't have time to hit this week. They'll be posted up onto the blog sometime midweek after the book report is published, and you'll see everything there.
And that'll do it for us. If you're heading out to one of the newly reopened casinos or sportsbooks, please be safe, and happy holidays from all of us here at Turnpike Sports. We'll see you next week on the Turnpike.